My gosh, I'm nothing but a complainer today, aren't I? Ha ha ha! Howdy y'all, Fuzzy Biker here in the Fuzzy Biker Garage. Check out what we got today. I've owned this Royal Enfield Bear 650 about 60 days, about 2 months, right around now. And I thought I'd do a little video on it, a little update, what I've done to it, how it works, how it rides. We'll try to take it out for a ride. It's a sunny day, but there's snow on the ground out there, but I think I can manage. First big problem I've had with this bike is I just haven't been able to ride it like I'd like to. I got it in November. You know, the weather came in. I rode more in one day last summer than I've ridden in the last 2 months, and yeah, and that's one of the big problems I've had with this bike. I've been having an issue getting it out and being able to ride it. So we're going to do a little riding on it today. I've got about 550 miles on it. I did do the oil change, the first oil change. It's been a great bike so far. You know, one of the big questions I've been asked a lot is, how is it on a long ride? Can you tour on this bike? All that needs to, well, I can't answer that because the longest day I've had on it is like, I think about 115 miles, maybe 120 miles. So I can give you anecdotal answers. I can tell you about the interceptors that I've rode. I rode several interceptors. I think I took one all the way to Wyoming and back, and they were absolutely great for long rides. Another issue I've had with it is I don't like to get it dirty. I don't know if you can see that right there. It's such a beautiful bike. When I first got it, I made my way over. I was going to run over to a tree in the middle of the road. That's a famous landmark out in the middle of nowhere here. You got to take gravel to get to it, and I just about got there, and I can't take it on gravel. It's too pretty. I lent it to a friend of mine, and he took it on a little bit of gravel. So another problem, while we're talking problems, it's all about problems, right? I am being a little bit facetious here, but I'm not actually. It's also kind of true. I don't want to put bags on this bike. I'd like to put side bags on my bike to carry things. I've got them on that bike. I've got them on my Super Meteor. I've got them on this bike over here. I haven't got them on my Harley yet, but we'll work on that. And I don't want to ruin the look, you know. And the idea of putting a bag on this thing or a big windshield, that's another thing. You know, I don't want to put a big windshield on it. I love windshields. Look at all that dirt I've got on there. My gosh, what a filthy motorcycle. You know, that's kind of an issue. I guess to me, this is such a beautiful motorcycle. It's hard to think about changing the aesthetics, you know, in that way. Let's switch gears a little bit and do a little more positive stuff. How's that? What have I done to the bike so far? Well, I obviously put this Rhino Walk tail bag on there. I bought that actually from a Himalayan. We're taking this to Alaska this summer. And I wanted the Rhino Walk bag on there. It's a bigger bag, pretty neat bag. And I laid it on the back of the bike and I thought, hey, you know, that looks pretty good. So I put that back there. It kind of goes good with the look, you know. I was worried about ruining the, this bike has this bend up, the chair comes up, the frame is bent up. And by the way, I think the reason they bent the frame up was to give us a little more ground clearance here. There's an extra ½ inch or 3/4 of an inch of suspension on the rear of this bike. So anyway, I think it looks good. I think it looks good. Another thing I did to this was I added these Royal Enfield knee pads. I waited for the actual Royal Enfield branded ones. You can get those at BackToCycle.com. That's where I got this too. And I think I'm very happy with that. I put TPMS on there, you know, these sensors so I can check the tire pressure. Now on this bike, I have to use my phone to check the tire pressure. I did not want to put a reader up on the dash. We also put this I guess it's called a bash guard or something like that, a little foam pad right up here, says Royal Enfield on it. BackToCycle did that for me. I really appreciate that. And the last thing we've added to this particular motorcycle is this thing here. It's a power port. I got it so I stick it in there when I'm not using it. Day like today, I'll plug it in. I've got I think it's a first gear is what it's called, pair of a jacket, and then I've got a pair of Gerber pants. We've done a pretty good job with mods out into Ready, I think. I'd like to go slow on that kind of stuff. One of the things I'd like to do next might be a pipe and a DNA filter. This bike over here has got this, I think it's called a Dustland pipe. You can get that at Baxter's also. That's a really good look, isn't it? Absolutely gorgeous. BackToCycle is also getting some AEW pipes made specifically for this motorcycle. I think they're getting a couple different sets. And I'd like to see those and even hear them on another motorcycle. I would like to get some handguards for the bike. There's a couple different kinds that Royal Enfield is going to make for this. And I can't wait to see those. There is a fly screen for this, and there is a headlight cover, and I think I might do that also. And while we're back here, also, do I want to do like YSS suspension on the rear? And I think I might do that eventually, but at this point, I'm still pretty darn happy with this system. It's got this really neat Showa upside down fork. You know, that means that there's less mass down here. There's more structure on the top, which makes this more rigid. You don't have to have a fork brace. I like this LED headlight. You know, it's got a nifty shorty fender. Now I think I'm going to leave this extender on here. If I do decide to take this off, I would get a skid plate down here, maybe even a guard for that. Oh, yeah, that's metal actually. Sliding back this way, they move the foot pegs forward and down a little bit, so you have a little more room. It also has the foot pegs and brake lever off the Himalayan. One of the benefits of moving it forward and down is you get a little more leg room. Also, I think when you stand up on the bike, I think you're in a better position to do that. A little more leg room, a little more comfort. Also, another good reason to get knee pads for it. It's got these awesome grips and these really nifty levers. I like the bend in the levers. I like how wide they are this way. I like how thin they are this way. And then they've got these radius edges both on the bottom and the top. And they go really well with these grips. So these grips, you know, they're barrel shaped. They're thin here. When you're holding the, you know, this distance here and this distance here, it's just a very good feel. That extra comfort makes the clutch feel like it has more range. I don't think it actually does, but because it feels better, it seems to work better. How's that? You know what? I think I should gear up and we should just take this little hot rod for a ride. Wahoo! Finally back on the road. I just have not had much motorcycle seat time in quite a while. Motorcycling is a perishable skill. That means you lose it when you don't use it. It's also winter in Iowa. The motorcycle's cold, the tires are cold. And another problem with riding a bike in the winter in Iowa is all the sand, or anywhere where they put sand down. They also spray gunk on the road. My gosh, I'm nothing but a complainer today, aren't I? Ha ha ha! I love the sunlight. Beautiful sunny day. Look at that sky, absolutely gorgeous out. Ha 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 ha! Life is good, life is good. The motorcycle feels great. It's still cold, right? Simmer down, simmer down. We'll go to the right then. I missed the light, so we'll go to the right. Miss the light, we'll go to the right. Hey, we got a little bit of traffic here today. I love this motorcycle. It's an absolute hoot to ride. The roads are filthy. That's an issue for sure. Oh, what a great day for a motorcycle ride. I have missed this tremendously. I cannot wait for summer. You know, I got, what do I have, 552 miles on this bike. I'm almost ashamed of that. I love the handling of this motorcycle. You know, I'm going to start with that. The suspension, I've talked about it being firm. I've talked about it even being almost hard. What it is fun. It's a very playful suspension. The front end is excellent. I love the front end. The back end is firm and tight, and the feel is just phenomenal, front and back. The tires, the MRF tires, I think it's 190/19 on the front. There's about 5.1 inches of travel on the front of the suspension, I believe. That's about 130 millimeters. Oh, the sound is superb. This 2-in-1 is great. You got to watch for dirt and all kinds of things like that. The rear suspension, you know, it's a dual shock system. It's got 4.4 inches of travel, 115 millimeters, I believe. You learn to live with that suspension. There's a kind of a payoff that you gotta, you know. It gives you an awesome feel and, you know, superb. You're in contact with the road all the time. But on the other side of that is it's firm. You know, you feel everything. Look at this, just a wet road here. Got to watch out where these simmer down, simmer down. Well, anyway, the rear suspension is just awesome on this bike. You know, do I want to upgrade to YSS sometime? I might. I need to talk to Baxter's about that, see what's available. I think they have a, you know, bike shock specifically made for this motorcycle. I'll have to check their website. Look at this water in the road here. Like I said, that's another problem with this bike. It's so good looking, you just don't want to get it dirty, you know? It's just a fabulous machine. And here I am doing these tight turns with well, I don't see much sand. You know, it isn't the sand you see that'll get you, it's the sand you don't see, right? What a beautiful day for a bike ride. There's some sand. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Wheelbase is 57.5 inches, I believe. That's 1,460 millimeters, and that was a stop sign. We better stop for those things, by golly. Pay attention, pay attention. This is what happens when you haven't ridden a motorcycle in a while. You know, you get all giddy and you're out of practice, and all the little details are, you know, there's so many things to watch for when you're riding a bike. Beautiful, beautiful day for a ride. The first gear is warming me up very well. First gear jacket is heated. I've got it plugged into the bike. Love this thing. Look at this road. If anything says be careful, it's this road right here. It's in the shade. It's got different colors. Me gusta mucho. Ah, what a great, this is just fabulous. Sunnyside Park, it says right there. This is just fabulous. I'm just so thrilled to be out and about. Even if the roads are wet and sandy. Oh, this bike runs so well. I've missed this a lot. What is this, some sort of nostalgia ride today? Seat height on this hot rod is 32.7 inches, is 830 millimeters. And the seat itself is a very comfortable seat in that it's got a good shape. It's got padding where you need it. It's got cutouts where your legs reach to the pegs. One of the reasons I'd like to take this on a long ride is to grade the seat. You know, how does it work? I'm not sure if there's a touring seat option available for this. I know you can get different color seats. So the engine is a 648cc parallel twin, air-cooled, oil-cooled. Has a single overhead cam, 4 valves per cylinder, 47 horsepower, 42 foot-pounds of torque. That's 57 newton meters. It's got plenty of torque. I don't think I'll do it today, but you can certainly pull the wheel off the ground. The handlebars are a little wider than a stock Interceptor. You know, it's got a very different feel than the stock Interceptor. We think the swing arm is 1.5 inches longer, and that the rake and the forks are different. Well, we know that the forks are different on this one versus the standard, and that's where the rest of the increase in wheelbase comes from. The handling, you know, it's got the 19-inch front tire. It's a little larger tire, but it's got the upside down fork, so you get that lighter moving part of the fork is all lighter, you know, and I think that helps a lot in handling. It handles pretty darn well. I can't wait to take it on gravel. Maybe I can borrow somebody's. This one's just, again, another problem with the bike. It's too pretty to take on gravel, right? Well, I'll get over that at some point. Too pretty to take on gravel. Too pretty to take out when it's yucky out. Too pretty to you know, put bags on, you know, too pretty to put a windshield on. My gosh, I don't want to put different grips on it, heated grips on it, because I don't want to lose the really cool barrel-shaped grips that it has. I've just got a whole list of, I don't know, nonsensical or, you know, non-issue issues. It's a great bike. I'm just, you know, I've ridden 100 Interceptors, let's say. And every time I rode one, I just fell in love with one. So when this model finally came out, the Bear, I just fell in love with it, and I just had to have one. And you know, if you haven't ridden one, you need to go down and ride any Interceptor. Interceptor it's just a fabulous thing. You know, the engine, back to the engine, parallel twin. It's got a 6-speed transmission. The engine and the transmission, they work together. It's like a match made in heaven almost. You know, they work together so well. This is about as heavy as traffic gets in the old A-town here. Mirrors, that's another thing. I thought about changing the mirrors on this. I've got the touring mirrors on my Himalayan now. And when I take that Himalayan out, you know, when I get a good 1,000, I thought I saw a policeman. When I get a good 1,000-mile day, I will find out how those work. And if they work really well, I might put them on this bike too. You know, if it's a marginal difference, I don't know, we'll see what happens. One of the big things, you know, we've got that Alaska trip coming up. The question is, do you take the Bear or do you take the Himalayan? I bought the Himalayan to do that trip, and I bought the Bear as kind of like this, you know, go out and run around and spin your tire and have fun around town, or go chase your buddies around Lutz Hills or the curvy roads, you know. Now, this bike will do the trip just fine. I'd have to bag it up. I'd have to get a windshield on it, you know. something like that. You don't need a windshield, right? You can just wear good gear. There was a guy that posted, he said 60% of the time it rained when he went. And if that's the case, I would really like to have a windshield. You know, anything to keep a little bit of that rain off of me would be just fine, just fine. But it is a great bike, and it would certainly do the trip just fine. I'll keep going back and forth. The roads all the way up are supposed to be paved, and if we did get into some sections where, you know, they're doing construction and the roads were not paved, this bike's got plenty of suspension and certainly handles well enough to take it on just fine. I would not have any trouble taking this all the way up there and back, I believe. Oh, it just feels so good to be out. I love the sound. At 2-to-1 stock, I don't think it's any louder than a regular Interceptor, but I believe it has more bass to it, so you can really hear it a little better. Makes a difference. Another neat thing about this is the dashboard. You know, we've got that TFT dash. I think it's a 4.5 inches, something like that. It's got the tachometer on the outside, speedometer over here to the right, gear indicator in the middle, fuel gauge, speedometer, trip meter, all that neat stuff in there. Now the old Interceptor had the analog gauge, the analog tachometer and the analog speedometer, and a little digital fuel gauge, and that had a really interesting look, a kind of a classic look, you know. And I think if you were after a classic looking motorcycle again, you know, something like an old British classic bike, it would be a good idea to pick one of those up before they're not available anymore. Look at this, all kinds of wet on the ground here. Even some ice. It feels absolutely great to be on this motorcycle. Oh! What a grin, what a grin. So this bike, comfort wise, I think the seat is pretty good. You got a little more leg room. I think I talked about that a little bit already. Your knees feel a little bit lower than your hips. Your heels are behind your knees, but just slightly. You sit upright but leaning forward. You do reach to the bars just a little bit. Let's see what we got here. I think it's a pretty comfortable place to be. As far as handling goes, it pushes around the garage real easy. It weighs more than my Himalayan, but it's easier to push around than my Himalayan because the center of gravity is so low. It does well in a parking lot, it does well at low speeds, it does well around town like we've just been doing. It's a very playful motorcycle. If you get out here on the 2-lane blacktop, it handles very well. It's very connected, and that means you feel the road very well. So if you're on a rough road, this is a rough road. And what you end up doing is subconsciously watching for bumps, and then also lifting yourself. Come up on a big one. You push down on the foot pegs with your feet, you know, so you don't get quite the full jar. But I don't consider that an issue. I think the suspension, as it is fabulous. I cannot wait to really get out there and do some gravel roading this coming summer. You know, look at this right here. It's just beautiful. Bike. Hey, 6-speed transmission and I'm stuck in 4th. What's going on here? It's a sporty machine. It is a chilly day, but for gear, I've got my, starting at the bottom, I've got my Keen boots on. I've got some insulated Noru pants on. Excellent pants. I had the liners in them today. I've got some Noru long underwear tops on. My first gear, heated jacket, which is just great. I love that jacket. That has changed riding. Good gear makes the ride. I've got my Royal Enfield Nervic jacket on. I love that jacket. It's perfect for a day like today. For the gloves, I've got my Tourmaster. Yeah, Tourmaster Polartec 3 gloves. Polartec 2, I think they are. I just love them. My helmet is the Shoei Neotech 2. That was another life-changing item. All this gear has just made riding so much more comfortable. You know, here we are, 39 degrees out, and I'm comfortable riding down the road. I think I could go 100 miles today and be okay. I absolutely love the view over this hill. Wahoo! Hey, simmer down a little bit. We better knock it down a few miles an hour, by golly. Wow! This is a great bike. Every time I ride this, I just fall in love with it again. Brakes, I didn't talk about that. 320 millimeter disc on the front with dual piston bi-recalipers. Is the It's a fixed disc. On the rear there's a 270 millimeter disc with a single little piston Barbary caliper. Brakes are fabulous. There on the right is the mighty metropolis of Marnie, Iowa, a town that'll fit on the postage stamp. Also home to Baxter Cycle, seller of new and used Royal Enfields, Triumphs, classic British bikes of any type. Look at all the sand here. They really salted it here. Look at this stuff. It's just everywhere. What the heck? Yeah, it started to spin, then we hit the rev limiter. I should have shifted, huh? Okay, we're just going to do one quick spin here. Next time you're in the mighty metropolis of Marnie, Iowa, make sure you stop. Hang on, hang on, hang on. Right there at the derailed grill. Grab yourself a Wahoo burger. Oh, great day for a bike ride. Great day for a bike ride. I love it. What a great town. You know what? We are going to put this thing away. I'm going to rile the locals, upset the natives. They're going to come after me with pitchforks and torches, and that is not going to be any fun. If y'all are in the market for a new or used Royal Enfield Triumph classic British bike of any type, how's that for downtone? Need parts, accessories, thingamajigs, doodads, boots, jackets, gloves, socks, and underwear, by golly, get yourself over here to Baxter Cycle, right there in the mighty metropolis of Marnie, Iowa. Or go to baxtercycle.com, tell those fine folks that Fuzzy Biker sent you. Oh, I do not want to get off this motorcycle. Now, it's a beautiful day out here. I'm going to open my helmet up here. And we're headed for Exhaust Pipe Alley. Look at all the frost on the ground here. Look at all this stuff. Anyway, if it's a beautiful day where y'all are at, I love this stuff. Get yourself out there and ride, my friends. Life is good. Life is good. Wahoo!
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Wahoo!